Hi, you're listening to Book Chat with author Vivian E. Moore.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
Hello and welcome to Book Chat. I am your host, Author Vivian E. Moore. Hope everyone is having a great weekend. I hope you had a great week. I missed you guys from last weekend. We didn't do a show because we had sickness in the family. So I'm back today and just a little bit nasally, but other than that, I'm doing good, feeling good, and just elated to be back with you this week. So I don't want to hold you for too long today, so we're going to move right on to today's show. So the title of today's show is Dynamic Duos, and the topic is building author-reader relationships. So when I hear the words dynamic duos, my mind, I don't know about yours, but my mind instantly goes to Batman and Robin, Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble, Sanford and Son, George and Louise Jefferson, and so on. I could go on and on with these dynamic duos. So, but we are familiar with these types of pairings because we grew up watching them on weekly TV programs, and they go together perfectly like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Now, during those brainstorming sessions, I'm sure much thought went into distributing to the right audience based on the subject matter, importance, and variety. So, like television producers, most individuals realize the importance of building relationships and relationships as they relate to family and significant others and potential customers. You know, that also applies to author-reader relationships. So that's what we're going to talk about today, building those author-reader relationships, ways that we can do that. Now, imagine how vital this becomes when trying to build a brand. And I understand the difficulty of building bridges that span across many avenues. Not everyone is social media savvy, which creates a problem for navigating the link between authors and readers. Engagement and interaction become a vital part of the introduction and the process. And social media is a viable source to help simplify the gap between authors and readers. Okay, so now how do we accomplish this without the know-how? Well, depending on your marketing budget, you can hire a firm that will build a social media presence for you. They will make daily posts and respond to your audience on your behalf. All right, so we got that part. Now, what are some other ways to build author-reader relationships on a low or non-existent budget? Well, I'm glad you asked. Another way to build on this relationship is through an author platform, which uses your visibility as an influencer to reach your targeted audience. Now, I know your readers, but you should know your readers, what they like by identifying your writing style to them. The thing that made programs I mentioned earlier vastly popular with the use of targeted audiences. And I know it sounds a little bit easier said than done, but it is possible. It's very doable. I run across a lot of advertisement for books and things of that nature while on social media, and a lot of social media platforms that they look like they have been professionally done. Although they are on Facebook, they're on Twitter and Instagram and things like that, but they look professionally done. And the reason for that is because someone hired a PR firm to do this for them. And I know a lot of book agencies would do that as well. What they do is they go out there and they build your social media presence. They build you websites They make your social media accounts look very professional. They highlight the things that will grab readers' attention, and that's important because that's what you want to do to build that relationship between the author and the reader. You want to grab the attention of potential readers, and flaunt yourself. You have to do what you have to do to put yourself out there, and don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to think that that too much is overkill. Sometimes it's just enough to bring attention to yourself, to bring attention to what it is that that you're trying to to sell, basically, because you want to get your books out to many readers, to many people and readers as possible. And so that means you must know your targeted readers, identify and define your brand, and blog and build an email list. Blogging is important. And, maybe you're not a blogger, but if you're a writer, you can blog. To me, it's the same thing. Blogging, maybe you're not telling a detailed story like you are when you're writing, but blogging still consists of, just writing about the subject that you know about, and getting it out there. Do something. You don't have to do it every day. You could do it every other day. You could do it on a weekend or whatever, but just do it. And share it on social media, and if you have a blog, then make sure that you include that address, every time you go on social media, to draw people, to direct them to your blog, to your website, anything that you can do to get them to go and take a look at it. And then you need to make sure that, that it's up to date. And that you have, if you've written one book, if you've written 200 books, you need to make sure that you have a list of those books there, and and make sure that you list them in order. Your most recent, make sure that's the first thing they see, your most recent work, and then that'll lead them to all the other books that you've done. So, and also if you get reviews, you can post them. You can copy and paste those reader reviews. You can copy and paste them into your social media. You can copy and paste them, onto your blog, and and that way that will direct people also, back to you when they can see what you've done, and when they can read what other readers, what other people thought about your work, what they said about your books and things like that. And it doesn't matter if you don't have a recent work. As long as you've had, some reviews on past work, list them, because it matters. Everything counts. Everything counts in this business. So you want to make sure that you do that. Even the most socially challenged individual can still find a way to communicate. So you must look deep inside yourself, find your strengths, and use them. Now, I'm not antisocial, but I'm introverted. And, but when, put in the place where, I have to speak publicly, I can do it because I call on my inner strengths. And so, it's like, well, it's sort of like picturing everyone in the room, invisible. Whatever psyche you have to use to get through it, then do that. But for me, it's calling on that inner strength, and just doing what I need to do. I'm afraid the whole while I'm doing it, but no one else has to know that. And so I try not to show it, but it's just like now, for me, this is the best way, to communicate with my audience. I'm talking with you, but you can't see me and I can't see you. So in a way that gives me a little bit more confidence to say what I need to say. So I don't overthink it, because if you overthink it, then, that will start to make you feel intimidated and unsure of yourself. And you don't ever want to do that. But, sometimes you have to step outside of that comfort zone as well, especially if it's something that you want to do, something that you need to do. You have to call on that inner strength to get you through whatever situation. And it's important. It's vital, especially if you want to be successful at what you do. So, another way to build that author-reader relationship is to pitch your work to book clubs. And have your family assist by word of mouth engagement. Use every opportunity available to self-promote, and don't be afraid to pass out business cards that represent your brand. Now, I have cards made up. And I use Vistaprint, by the way. Very inexpensive. You can get like 100 cards for like, $12 or $14. Hardly nothing. That's just a small investment for the amount of money you'll get back in return for that. But what I do is I print up like my latest book, where it's a series. So I have book 1 on front and book 2 on the back. And what I do is I give these cards to my family members, to my children, and I ask them, whenever you guys are out, you're at work, whatever, can you pass these cards out for me? And so that way, they see the book covers on those cards, and they know to go to Amazon and places like that where they can find the books. So, even if I'm not doing it, I still get other people to help me out. So you have to be, willing to do that, and don't be afraid to ask people for help, because if you don't ask, you won't receive. And because I can throw out a whole bunch of analogies out there, but I'm pretty sure you get the message. But so you just do what you have to do to to get your brand out there, to get it noticed, because that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you are drawing that attention to you and your books, because you want to make that wedding of author and reader. You want to build on that bond, that relationship between you and your readers. And so, and do promotional sales too, and create an author page and advertise as much as possible. Now, I know everyone does not have unlimited budgets where they can just advertise to their heart's content, But even if you have a shoestring budget, you can still advertise. You can advertise on Facebook. You can advertise on Amazon. You can advertise just about anywhere that will allow you to advertise. So just for a small amount, just for a small fee, because you set the limit. If you have a $10 budget and you want to run that that promotion ad for like a week, and you want to spend $2 a day. Well, there you go. You run it for 5 days, you spent $10. And so they only charge you, you only charged, even though you've allotted $10 for your budget, but they only charge you depending on the amount of clicks that you get, for during that time. So, like I said, you can start small and then work your way up. But the more attention, when you give yourself, the more people will notice. So you just have to be willing to put yourself out there, and don't be afraid, and maybe you start out small and you're still not getting the attention that you think you deserve. But the trick is not to stop. You have to keep doing it. Just because you did it the first time and you didn't get that a big of response from it, continue to do it, because the more you put yourself out there, the more you advertise and let people know who you are and where they can find your work, it betters your chance to draw readers to your work. So you want to make sure that you always do that. And, dynamic duos it's just not a catchphrase, but a reality when you hope to foster an author-reader relationship. All right, folks, that's all I have for you today. And before I let you go, I want to make sure that I give you these URLs, because I want to keep in contact with you. And I hope that you were able to download some of my past episodes so you could listen to that. And I thank you so very much for listening, even when I'm not on air live. I thank you so very much for still helping me and for supporting me. I appreciate it so much. So, of course, the first one is Spreaker, and that is https://www.spreaker.com/user/author Vivian Moore. You can follow me on all social media: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. On Twitter, I am God's Property 46, and on Instagram, I am God's Property 51. You can look me up on Facebook under Vivian E. Moore Author. And also, if you follow my blog, that is https://vivianemore.blogspot.com. And you can also find me, you can Google me on for my website, which is authorvivianemore.com or ehshepherd.com. Same person, just different, different handles. And also, you can listen to the show on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, YouTube, SoundCloud, and JioSaavn, which is spelled JIOSAAVN. So those are all the ways that you can reach out to me and listen to my weekly podcast. And again, I thank you so very much for supporting me. And, you know, each time you download, you can also like the show, you know, just give it some stars. And that works for me as well. And I thank you so very much for all that you've done and for all that you continue to do. Tomorrow is Worship Day. Boy, we're already into October. That just hit me. You know, how we're already into October. And next week is like the third week of October. Oh my goodness gracious. This year it's flown by. And it's not been the best of years, but thank God we're still here. You know, we're still well. You know, we're still able to do, even though, you know, with all of the the things that has happened in 2020. I think that this will probably be one of the most memorable years of the century. So we just want to make sure that we are attending church, you know, whether it's online or if you are listening to live feeds of it on social media or Zoom, you know, however you're getting the word, just make sure that you continue to do that. Even if you can't go into the physical building, you can still, you know, have church, because that's important, because we need to hear a word from the Lord, you know, and not just on Sunday, but every day. And we also need to tell those that we love them, because tomorrow is not promised. Today may be the only chance you get to say that. So I love you. I hope you love me back. Until the next time you hear my voice, God bless you and goodbye.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.